All right. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast with your host, John Chen. Oh, geez, what's been happening over here? You know, our National Speakers Association chapter just celebrated its 40th anniversary, and I was just sharing with our guest coming up here that we had an incredible celebration. It was we had like 14 past presidents in the room, and I was showing him one of the highlights at the end was had our good friend Baba from Event Wrap actually listened to the whole 3 hour presentation and then actually built a 5 minute customized wrap that used everybody's name inside of it. So watch my social media for it. It is definitely something you want to watch. It's very impressive. It even uses the name Jamie Nolan, CEO. Okay. Hey, if you're watching this on social media, make sure and subscribe, share, like, and comment. And if you want all the episodes for this podcast, go to engagingvirtualmeetings.online, where you can subscribe on one of 13 amazing platforms where Apple apparently podcast is the number one platform for this podcast. If you want to learn more about how to be engaging, think about coming to the Engaging Conference. Go to engagingvirtualmeetings.com/CON or scan this QR code and you can get a free ticket, right, to watch this from virtual. But more importantly, this will be our second year in hybrid, and check it out. You can actually be in person. Speaking of in person, my next guest is in person, and here's some of the stuff about him. He's cool. He's a member of National Speakers Association Northwest. He's been a professional speaker for over 28 years, and he clocked 101 presentations in 2024. He's coached leaders for over 3,000 hours. He's an certified coach with the International Coaching Federation, and he's been honored as the Entrepreneur of the Year in the Tri-Cities in 2021. Please welcome our guest, Paul Casey. Hi, Paul.
Hey, John.
Amazing. Entrepreneur of the Year, right? What was that like to actually receive that award?
Yeah, it was during COVID too, so it was there was like a local Rotary Club celebrates that here in Tri-Cities, and so they do a video for you, and then they play it up on the screen, and then there's three recipients of it, and it was pretty fun. Like, wow, you don't get too many awards in life as adults, so that was like a big deal.
Yeah, you know what? That's funny. It's I think that's actually right. We don't get enough awards, and awards is actually, especially as an entrepreneur, a really useful marketing strategy, right? So
Yes.
you can say, "Hey, I won this thing," right? It actually launched me. I won Better Business Bureau's Business of the Year award,
Did
like in
you?
2002 or one. Uh, but the big one I do want to give a shout out to is I won the Puget Sound Business Journal's 40 under 40 top 40 entrepreneur under the age of 40 when I could still win that award, Paul. And I can
Wow.
tell you that award launched my career, and I'm still friends with many of the people that we won awards with. So there.
Very cool.
Yeah. Speaking of cool, let's take a moment too, Paul. A few of my friends don't know who you are. Why don't you just take the next few moments and share who you are and what you do?
Yeah, well, first of all, married to lovely Laura, 15 years. We're a blended family. I've got a 26 and 23-year-old, Austin and Cheyenne, named after state capitals. So if we would have had a third, it would have been Lincoln or Madison, right? The other ones don't really work. So that one usually gets a laugh when I'm speaking. So we've got two dogs now. We've got a Lhasa Apso named Gizmo and a Shih Tzu named Nugget. And so we have well, you get the point on that one. So that's my family. I do like to golf and hike, and I'm going to pick up archery this year. So that's my new hobby. On the work side of things, I love helping busy leaders make smarter decisions to develop healthy teams and thriving cultures. There's the one-liner for growing forward services. I've had my business for 10 years now, celebrating Big 10 this year. And I love doing executive coaching. I love doing leadership training on the soft skills, and do offsite facilitation of retreats, whether that's strategic planning or bonding, and all sorts of little things like culture audits, and anything that helps people grow is what I do. I've written 5 little books, and they are really little books because I just get to the point in my books. And yeah, I just love helping people grow.
I think one of the those key parts around that is helping other people, right? I think that having that ability to coach and actually getting to know other businesses or by being the outsider, I think, and then trying to, gain an insight, I think it's something really valuable. How did you get into that? Did you have that somewhere in the past, or did you coach something else in the future or back in the past?
Well, I was my first career as being a teacher, a fifth grade teacher. So
Oh,
I was
right.
painfully shy before that, went to school, became a teacher. Then I sort of came out of my shell. I went to my first teacher convention in Anaheim, California, and I didn't get anything out of it. It was all theoretical, John. It was just like, oh, philosophy, philosophy, philosophy. And I wanted ideas. Like I wanted stuff I could use in my classroom. And I feel like God said, well, then you do it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I threw my hat in the a ring for doing a breakout. They put me in the last slot of the second day. The next year, I had 35 people in the room and I loved it. I gave them like 60 ideas in an hour, which was a little overkill, but I was having a fun time. And I never looked back from that.
So yeah, that's how like speaking almost discovered you in some ways,
Yeah.
right? Mm.
Yep. And then coaching sort of came about. I heard what life coaching was about 15 years ago. I thought, oh, that's a little woo woo. What's life coaching? And I learned like it's helping people develop a vision for their life, develop goals, hold them accountable, celebrate. I'm like, I do this like in my sleep. Like I love doing that. And you can actually get certified to do that. So I went through the certification and added that to my portfolio. And now I love coaching just as much as speaking.
And what's the part of coaching that you love, right? I don't know. For me, it's like I ask questions that people don't think about, and that's to
Right.
me one of the top things I could do as a coach.
Yeah, 100%. It's like helping them see a different perspective. They're in their own bubble, they're in their own world, and you come in from the outside and ask them a question where they slump back in their chair and their eyes roll up and they're like, "Wow, that's a really good question." And inside I'm like, "Yes." Made them think, right? Made them think of a different perspective. And then, well, is there a third option here besides A and B? Because you don't seem to like either one. You're stuck in between. Like, what might be a third option? That is so fun.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. And I think the other part too, I've talked to a lot of people recently, and they asked me about what I call facilitator or coach aikido. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
A coach aikido is where you answer a question with a question.
Yes.
Right? So they come back to you and like they're like, Paul, what's the answer to my terrible problem? And they're like, what could be an answer to your terrible problem, right? And
Yeah.
so they don't even recognize that the fact that like I just
No,
gave it back to them, right? And they
that's
yeah.
so true. And technically with coaching, certified coaching, you can't give advice, right? Like you'll get voted off the island if you give any advice at all.
Yeah.
So it is fun to just sort of fire that question right back at them and they don't even realize it. And then they pull from something inside and answer their own question.
Yeah, and everybody has the answer inside of them, but they're all like, "I tried everything." Right? Do you ever hear that? Right? I
Yep.
don't know. And that's my other favorite one. I don't know. What's the answer to that? I don't know.
Well, if
And
you did
so
know, John.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, that's I hung out with Tony Robbins. That was one of his favorite questions. But if you did
Ooh.
know, right? And it's goodness inside of there. All right. Well, speaking of what question you asked, I want to know. We're going to go backwards a little bit to March of 2020. You probably were at least an in-person coach for most of your time, would be a
Yes.
guess. All right, March of 2020 rolls around, and I want to ask the question, right? Well, what question did you ask when the pandemic hit in March of 2020?
It's really interesting that you say that because literally in March of 2020, and I'm saying like 2 weeks before the pandemic, right? I started thinking to myself, I've got to leverage my time, John. Like, I wonder if any clients would go virtual. I go, and I literally thought that. What if my clients would go for, I mean, if I could just get one to say yes, and I had a like little script that I was gonna like unleash on them, and then it happened right after that. So I just think that was funny.
Well, Paul, then in your manifestation abilities, right? I'm just going to tell you, it's your fault. The pandemic was your fault. You asked the question, and
I
then
own it.
the
I own
universe responded, and now it's all on you.
it.
Oh my God. So yeah. So what happened after that? Like, what were some of your favorite innovations or moments then? as your world turned virtual?
Yeah, so I embraced Zoom 100%,
Okay.
right? As soon as we had the opportunity, because my income was based on this three-legged stool of speaking,
Yeah.
facilitating, and
Yeah.
coaching. And of course, speaking and facilitating immediately went into the you know what. And so, but people wanted to talk. And so it was like nobody missed a session. Nobody changed a session. They all showed up on time, and I just went one after the other, like a therapist all day long. I was just going end, start, end, start. I can use the restroom once in a while. And it was just like I was there for people when they needed the most to just talk through this weird thing called, this stay-at-home order that everyone was done.
It's funny too because I created a happy hour on Friday at 5 o'clock, and it got so popular at one point that everybody asked for two a week. They wanted two a week at the peak of the pandemic because my rules around it were this, right? No recording, no agenda. So every time anybody showed up, right, there was nobody was teaching, nobody was presenting, right? It was never recorded, and everyone understood that whatever was talked about in that meeting was not to be repeated somewhere else. And so it had the highest level of psychological safety of any virtual meeting for this group of people. And people talked about losing jobs, getting jobs, right? Thinking they got infected. They're not sure. And so every topic around the bend came around there, and that happy hour was something really special. Right? It just recently is died. Finally ran its course, Paul. But that your insight that people wanted to talk is so spot on. What I don't know. Did anybody else tell you anything around that? Give you hints, or did you just get a sense of that I wanted to connect? What did you
Yeah, it
get?
was it was just that sense that they wanted to. And the only other thing I tried, probably within a month, I was probably a little late to the game, but I developed one talk on thriving while teleworking,
Right.
right? I just, because, everybody was flooding the internet with tips on how to set up your home office and, how work-life balance is so hard when the dog's jumping in your lap and the kids are screaming in the other room. And I thought, this is really going to hit on. And people were booking that talk virtually. And it was like, wow, I'm so glad that I probably should have come up with more, but that was the most booked talk for at least 3 months.
Yeah. Well, and I think as speakers, we just had a CSP or a certified speaking professional panel with the Northern California chapter, and we just talked about top speakers are resilient. They'll figure it out. Like every year or two, something in the environment changes radically, and the top speakers just figure it out. They figure something out. Which kind of actually reminds me. And speaking, you were talking about dogs and kids. Paul, we were talking about most of the time. I would ask you like, what has to be engaging in a meeting, but we also talked at a pre-show that you said you have a good list of stuff that's like super disengaging in a virtual meeting. I'd just love to hear what you got. You can rant for as long or as whatever you want.
Oh, I don't know if I've got a big list, but I just tried to think about when I'm on a virtual meeting, when do I start checking my email? When do I start checking my text messages, right? If the host does not engage me, and I know that's your total brand, John, but if the host is not speaking to me and just seems to be oblivious that there's an audience, then I'm going to start pulling back, right? Another one is if they're not mixing things up every so often, and I'm talking about like every 4 to 8 minutes. Like they've got to put something else on the screen. So this probably goes to your other question of what do you do? But if they're not encouraging us to go to the chat, type something in. If they're not putting a poll up on the screen now that I have to vote, it's pretty clear if I'm not voting on there. If they're not once in a while saying unmute, or I'm going to throw you in a breakout room, so you're going to have to, turn your camera on and talk to somebody, meet somebody new, then I'm probably going to start slipping away just silently. And you're not even going to know that I have disengaged from the room. So that's a short list of things that I realized when a speaker is not keeping me engaged.
Well, my number one too is this. I have in multiple meetings. One of them was I think asked not to chat, and I just did this. Which is, I was asked to not engage. I was like, really?
What?
I don't understand this. I mean, my other favorite ones was somebody had 7 top executives who wouldn't turn their cameras on, so she put all 7 in their own breakout room. And magically, when they came out, Paul, she never once said anything to them. All 7 of them had their cameras on, and all 7 of them left their camera on afterwards. But I
Oh,
think one of my favorite stories, and she just visited me recently, is one of my good friends, Mandy, came up and told me that 2 people on a corporate meeting were misbehaving. They were talking bad about like somebody else, and all she did was reach down and went down to the button and clicked record, and all you heard was, "This meeting is being recorded," and they immediately shut up. And those are some of the funniest things that I think of, like misbehaved and bad and non-engaging meetings. The worst part though, Paul, it's like some people haven't learned anything in the last 5 years.
yeah.
I mean, what's the worst thing that you saw in the last month or two, if you don't mind me sharing? You don't have to say a name. I just
You
want to
know,
know.
it's still the folks that have their screen tilted in a way that it looks like they're looking out over a distant mountain, and they're not they're not right here. And it's like, move the webcam, so that it looks like you're at
I,
least looking at me.
I don't know what you're talking about. I see. Look, I'm looking at you right in
Come
your eye, right?
back.
Wait, because you know what? This is true too, Paul, right, Paul? I got to put you somewhere else. Hold on a second.
Oh, look at that.
Hold on. I'm going to move you so that's right. Now I have to move you to the wrong
The
screen.
wrong
There. Okay, now see, look, now you're up here, right? Paul, don't you feel me? I mean, like I'm talking with my heart and my soul, right?
Where'd you go? Where'd you go?
And it's like I do agree with it. I don't understand. It's like camera 101, to right? Look in the camera. We actually had people create post-its over the camera with eyes.
Oh, I love that. I
But
did
but my
that at
new
the
one is this. Have you seen this thing? So have you seen this thing? It's called an El Gato prompter.
No, but I was just researching it. I haven't purchased it, but yeah, look at that. Okay.
So what the reason why this my camera is right behind this, and this is a video screen, so I can actually move you, Paul. Here, I'll do it now into the screen because it is a screen, right? So I can grab it. Let's see. Hold on. There we go. And now I moved you into the screen. And now I got to hit expand. Oh, and I'm on the wrong one. But I can put Paul's face inside of here. So when I look, actually, it look truly. When I look at Paul's eyes, I will be seeing his image. And so there we go. I think I finally got it. Yeah. So now Paul's actually inside of here, right? And so now I can see that Paul's blinking. He's got his hand on his chin. He's at his white shirt. But what's key about it, this now, is that it looks like I'm looking right at Paul.
Yeah.
And that's why the Elgato prompter is so key. The other one is I moderated this panel and I put all my questions in there. So as I'm calling through all the questions, I actually can moderate the chat while moderating, and I'll then choose the questions and I'll stick them in there. And so when I'm reading the questions, I'm like literally, it's like teleprompter, it's like presidential, and it's like
Yeah.
less than $250.
I remember, putting a little post-it in that first month. Look here, under right by the camera to remind me to look up and not look down at my screen, but to look up there. And then I've done the whole tape thing off the side of the webcam. So yours is way more professional.
This is the latest, yeah. I mean, but you start with that,
You do.
and the hard part is because again, like if I look at you on this bottom screen, most of the time it looks like this,
Yep.
right? And so what I've told people who are speakers before this is do this: make your key points here,
Yep.
and then you can crib off your sheet or do something or look at their face or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah. I was blown away. You probably saw it, that the guy that won the Toastmasters in the year of COVID, the only year that it was not done live. Do you remember that? Have you seen
I
that
haven't
video?
seen this video yet. No, go. You
Oh,
should. I want to see it, but go ahead.
you've got to see it. It was the only year they ever did Toastmaster Championship International in person. He took up the whole, he was a master of the screen. He would walk back from like here, like he would come in up in the middle of his story, and then he would be like on the screen like this, and he would pretend like he was getting pulled off. He was just brilliant how he used the little square in such a variety of ways.
That's Bob Behan from Microsoft, the VP of
Yeah.
Virtual Experiences, said, "Stop thinking theatrically and start thinking, right, cinematically." There's a part of my story where I lean in like this, right,
Yes.
specifically for the big nose effect, right? I mean, the things that you can do like this, and if
Sure.
you have an auto-focusing camera correctly, right, it
Sure.
will, focus and unfocus. And People miss that. I think they don't think about that. Everyone does the default. All right. Speaking of the default, the non-default, Paul, I think we were talking about. Do you have a wish for the future for what virtual or hybrid could do in the future?
Hmm. I'll say holograms. No, just kidding. Although that might be coming.
It's already here. Have you seen the proto?
No.
You take a 4K camera like an iPhone
Okay.
and send it to a proto, and it will replicate you as a hologram in the box. It's created. Let's see, Howie Mandel is a sponsor of the company, and I visited it in LA.
Really?
You can do that. We can do this today.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
here's the top fact that you need to know about it, Paul. Some
Okay.
of the top keynoters were able to retain 100% of their fee if they used a proto,
Whoa.
even though they were virtual.
Wow. Yeah, 'cause that's the first thing that comes to mind. That and like a screen that just it appears in the room, right? And I could just be touching it. It's very Star Trek-y, right?
Yeah.
I just think that would be fascinating.
I just remember too Johnny Mnemonic, right, where they have hand gestures, right, where you grab controls and you could
Oh
fold
yeah.
and unfold, like you're
Shoot.
doing things like this. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna come around. And there are VR glasses now you can hook up to your laptop, and they can create these screens because, like again, in my setup, it's all these physical screens, but in virtual, I could have even more if I wanted to, right? I could have like a
Good.
billion screens because it's virtual. So,
Aha. No,
well,
but I think AI, I know we all just, you just someone poke someone in the arm and they're gonna yell AI out right now because it's so everywhere. Every seminar I go to, every conference has an AI, something. I just think that it definitely is the future and it's gonna keep helping us.
yeah, yeah. What I suspected is that because AI and virtual meetings actually do have a lot that go together because it's getting all this data that it can deal with, video, audio, right? It can convert to text, and AI can actually, I really do like Zoom's AI features. I'm actually going to present something this Saturday on it. But I also came from social media marketing world, and
Mhm.
Michael, who is the founder of that conference, gave this whole keynote. And he said, "Double down, AI in marketing. He said, double down because marketing is the other place where you can consume lots of huge amounts of data, and cut your creation time down.
Yeah, yeah,
Be
100%.
Yeah,
And I was just shocked the other day. I didn't know I had turned on the button on Zoom that was the summarize the meeting button, right?
yeah.
And and it sends me an email saying this is your meeting summarized. I'm like, I didn't ask for that, but okay, let me read it. It was fascinating. Paul led, the client and this and take bullet, 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 bullet. And I was like, wow,
Well,
the whole meeting was recorded.
my secret for that, Paul, is I take that email. I don't take notes during the meeting anymore. I take that email, cut and paste it into OneNote, and the next time, right, I meet Paul, I can actually reference all the things we last talked about.
Yeah, I don't have to take notes anymore. It's right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, if it could just automatically shove it in OneNote, then I would be like the last piece of,
Ah,
one less touch.
so that talks about the workflows, right? I think that's going to keep getting better, the integrations. So we're going to have all those needs that you just said like met and probably within a year.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet yeah, it's gonna happen. I think I saw another program that like apparently creates auto replies or formulates replies to your emails, and then all you do is go through and either accept or edit. But we'll see. I haven't tried it yet, so I can't say anything. But now we're to my favorite part of this new feature of my interview, Paul. It's called the speed round. I've been writing questions while we've been talking, all right? And so
Okay.
your job is to answer these questions as fast as possible
Okay.
as I ask these questions. Is that okay with you, Paul?
Yes, let's do
All
it.
right. And after every time you answer them, I'll make some funny noise like this. Okay, good. The favorite of the Tri Cities. You got three to choose from.
Kennewick.
You have to think about it. Your best shot ever in golf.
I did a chip from off the green and it went in. It was awesome.
Let's see. Oh, I have one too for my birthday. I had a birthday party. A friend bought me a sand wedge, and I hit it from 50 yards in. Uh, best archery movie.
Oh man, I best archery movie. I'm gonna go Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
You could have the new Top Secret's coming out. We should go watch it together. Best offsite you've ever been to.
It was at a retreat center in Quincy, Washington.
Oh, yeah.
And so we got to order off the menu, do whatever we wanted. We got to be outside in the weather, looking out over the view. I played these fun activities and debriefed it back to work. It was fabulous.
Sounds good. Shout out to some company's culture. You don't even have to share the company's name if you don't want to.
I'm going to say it's a local company called Enan's. They are a funeral home and cemetery. You would think, like, what's great about that culture? They are so innovative. They're always thinking about new ways to make families feel great about the one that they lost. I mean, they will customize every aspect of that person's life for the memorial service. Fantastic. And then internally, they have humor as one of their 5 core values, which is pretty funny for a funeral home, but they got to keep it light because they're in such a heavy, emotionally industry. Right. So shout out to Holly and the team at Enan's.
I just met a social media marketing manager for Tombstones, right? And the second one is, I would like an intro, especially if they are not running their celebrations of life or memorials in hybrid, right? That's actually something I have done. Okay, a teacher you like to give kudos to.
Lou Rodriguez, 7th grade. He would put jokes on all of his tests. He would write all of his tests himself, and there would be matching items that had nothing to do with anything, like sour cream and chives, was one of the answers. And so throughout the test, you would be chuckling. A chuckle would break out throughout the rest of the test, which reduced people's test anxiety. So shout out to Mr. Rod.
Favorite coaching question to ask?
Man, what's the consequence if you do nothing about this?
Ooh, that's really good. All right, Paul, last question. And if you could get people to magically remember one thing from this podcast, what would it be?
There is an alternative perspective to the A and B options that are in front of you right now. Have someone process that with you, and it will open up expansive thinking, and you're going to come up with that thing that you go, yes, that's what I want.
Genius. Paul, thanks for joining me on the podcast. We hope you enjoyed today, and I look forward to ideally seeing you in the real world. If not, I'll see you online again somewhere else. Thank you so much, Paul. All right, well, Paul, we've been talking with Paul Casey here on the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast, and he says there's at least a third option you haven't thought about. What is it? And for me, Paul, I love to teach, and I said that I feel like the MacGyver, right? The answer is all around us, right? Everything we need is around us right now. You just haven't thought about it. So, Paul, thank you again for that beautiful podcast. Hey, if you are watching us here on social media, subscribe, share, like, hit a comment. We'll see if anybody's been watching us. Occasionally, we'll give people live a shout out. If you want any of our, we just celebrated 2,000 downloads. That's exciting for us. We're getting on the way. So keep on clicking the buttons, engagingvirtualmeetings.online. Subscribe on any of your 13 podcast platforms. Come see us live here at the Engaging Conference, whether you are online or in person here in Seattle, Washington. This year will be October 28th through the 30th. Ooh, and I had a secret conversation today that might put us in one of the most technologically advanced venues in the Northwest. Keep tuned to hear about that. Go to engagingvirtualmeetings.com/CON. And most of all, if you want to be like Paul, go to engagingvirtualmeetings.com/meet, select interview, and you could be the next guest here on the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. Hey, we'll see you next time. Don't we start